We spent all day looking at this stuff as it was coming in. So what should folks be concerned about this evening, going into tomorrow night, or going into tomorrow morning, rather?
Yeah, so tomorrow, of course, up in the mountains, we're still seeing a few flakes flying in those areas. So you might see an additional dusting of accumulation. But for everybody else, the biggest impact is going to be the refreeze potential. So if you step outside on your grass, on the sidewalk, driving, and you see any kind of moisture still lingering now, that means that there is a chance of a refreeze overnight. So this is very typical after a snow, sleet, or even freezing rain event where not everything is kind of wiped away from the sun of the day. And we only had temperatures in the 40s, so no shock there. Right now, of course, clear skies for Monroe. This should allow for winds to settle down a little bit more, and unfortunately that will also kind of lag on that cool down. So of course, again, we are going to expect black ice, that refreeze to be a risk heading into tomorrow morning. Temperatures right now pretty chilly, but we're still above freezing in Charlotte, up in the mountains in the 20s. There is a slight wind chill out there, so it's 37 but feels like 32. But up in the mountains, again, you are going to see those temperatures in the teens, if not single digits overnight for the wind chill. And if you were with us last night at 11 o'clock, now that the event is over, really the big change for our weather heading into the next week, or really, I guess, what's stayed the same based on the current temperatures, but cold is really the big story. We are going to stay at or below average almost every single day over the next week. So please make sure you are staying safe and staying weather aware. Now, when we talk about black ice, just remember here that black ice is not actually black. It is essentially a thin layer of ice, which is typically freezing rain or some kind of refreeze overnight. And it takes the color of whatever the ground is. So you're talking a roadway, normally that's black or dark gray. Of course, it can happen on surfaces like the grass, which of course then it's green, and then elevated surfaces like bridges and overpasses. We talk a lot about this, do ice over faster, and it's because the ground essentially insulates a regular roadway. But when you get cold air on the top, cold air on the bottom with a bridge or an overpass, everything cools off so much quicker because of that cold air kind of wrapping around the entire thing. Satellite and radar showing, again, no more mess here locally in the Charlotte area, up in the mountains, still a few flakes. We are going to get a reinforcing shot of some cooler air by the afternoon on Monday. So that's going to be, again, our next big change. It doesn't bring rain, but a few more clouds, and then we will eventually see cooler air by the middle part of the upcoming week. The temperatures, again, starting off in the 20s tomorrow morning, will eventually reach the 40s. It'll be a very similar afternoon to what we were on Saturday. But as we look ahead to the next week, we're talking colder than normal air. And I actually do think at this point that will be kind of the trend for the entirety of January. In fact, across the entirety of the country, with the exception of Florida, as we look at the next 8 to 14 days, which is January 19th through the 25th, it looks like another prolonged shot of colder air. This time, though, especially for the middle part of the country, from North Texas all the way up toward the Canadian border. But that does mean that here in the Charlotte area, we are expected to be colder than average for most of the next 14 days. Now, that doesn't mean every single day is going to be substantially colder than normal. It just means overall, we're definitely expecting this to be a very cold January as we look ahead. So here's your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Again, every single afternoon is at or below average. That even includes Friday, Saturday, as we could get hints in the afternoon of the air temperature during the day reaching the 50s. But as we look ahead to the extended forecast, Nick, another cool down comes just in time for Martin Luther King Jr. Day and a weekend that could also bring us our next chance of rain. We'll, of course, have well more on this over the next 7 days.